Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. It goes without saying that the dancehall scene has always been a hyper-competitive field. Back in the mid-80s up until the 1990s, it was simply a brutal landscape, and one of the hottest stars of that epoch is the great Daddy Freddy. He was simply decades ahead of his time. He had superb technique, awesome personality, and was incredibly versatile. In fact, he's credited with being among the first artists to infuse ragga with elements of hip-hop long before it became a trend that would catapult the likes of Shabba Ranks and Supercat to global superstardom by the 1990s. And he was even among the first wave of dancehall artists to move abroad in the 1980s, and his impact would reverberate on dancehall culture for years to come. Daddy Freddy was simply huge and would break into global mainstream pop culture when he entered into the Guinness Book of Records as the world's fastest rapper by the end of the 1980s. Putting it mildly, he had all it took to be the biggest dancehall artist of his generation. But just as his peers were taking over the globe, Daddy Freddy seemed to disappear from the limelight, prompting us to ask the million-dollar question: whatever happened to Daddy Freddy? He was born Samuel Frederick Small in Kingston, Jamaica in 1965 and grew up in Trenchtown. He attended the Walmer High School and was a good and committed student, but would soon be bitten by the music bug. In fact, his childhood home was around the corner from Coxsone Studio One. But his first introduction to a life in music began with his uncle Gladstone Parker, who was the owner of a popular and long-running sound system called Wild Bunch Disco. He spent countless hours watching the selector and many of the hottest DJs doing their thing, and it was there that he would more or less get an unofficial apprenticeship in the music business. He was also neighbors with Jacob Miller and dancehall star Ranking Joe, and it was the latter that would mentor him in the basic skills of a dancehall toaster. Ranking Joe's tutelage, combined with his time at the Wild Bunch Disco sound system, would make him an incredible performer by the time he was 15 years old. Around that time, Sugar Minott had established the Youthman Promotion sound system as a vehicle to nurture and promote the talents and careers of young artists. It became a mecca for upcoming acts looking for a break to test their skills at the weekly events in Sugar's yard at Maxfield Park. In addition to the likes of Tenor Saw, Tony Rebel, and Junior Reid, Daddy Freddy would over time become a regular face and eventually a star toaster with Youthman Promotions. And he became very popular for his speedy rapid-fire delivery and flow. And at the time, the music was all fun and games for that teenager, until Sugar Minott pulled him aside after a sizzling show one night and asked him if he had a passport. He was chosen to join Youthman Promotions on a mini tour of the US in a few weeks' time with other Youthman acts. The massive success of that show made it pretty clear to him that music was serious business. Along with Tenor Saw, Nitty Gritty, and Daddy Freddy, those youngsters made Youthman Promotions an unbeatable sound system that came out on top of numerous legendary clashes with other powerful outfits like King Jammy's, the Scorpio Crew, and the Arrowhead sound systems. Considering the fact that those crews had certified lyrical assassins like Papa San and Lieutenant Stitchie, that was a very big deal. By 1985, Daddy Freddy began to hang around Studio One with the hope of adding recording artists to his status as a sound system hero. And over there, he became friendly with dancehall superstar Brigadier Jerry and his kid sis, Sister Nancy, who also used the studio very often, and he became very close with two of them, and they would help him hone his already amazing skills. Coxsone gave him the chance to record his first single titled Zoo Party, and he would release his debut album Body Lasher in 1986. And his success would officially make him a superstar, with 6 tracks from that album going into the top 10 on the Jamaican charts, including a track called Joker Lover featuring singer Pinchers that went up all the way to number 1. His popularity would explode abroad, and he was heavily in demand for concerts in the US and the UK. And most of his peers like Supercat, Tenor Saw, and Nitty Gritty would in that period emigrate to America. But Freddy wasn't too keen on that destination, as he had noticed that quite a number of Jamaican artists who moved there either died or went to jail. And when you consider what happened to Tenor Saw and Nitty Gritty, it appears that he was onto something. After a series of shows in the UK, he moved to England in 1987 and would settle in the Brixton area of London that was famous for its strong Caribbean population. And he would become quickly embedded in the red-hot reggae sound system scene in London, becoming close friends with popular DJs like Tipper Irie, Papa Levi, and Ricky Ranking, as well as toasting as a guest performer with legendary sound systems like Saxon International and Lloyd Coxsons. His trademark rapid-fire toasting style would win him many fans, and one of them was upcoming toaster Asha D. He felt Freddy would be a roaring success as a recording artist and introduced him to producers Simon Harris, the owner of a label called Music of Life. And that introduction led to both artists putting out a joint album called Ragamuffin Hip Hop, a solid effort that was probably the first album to showcase a fusion of hip hop and dancehall, a formula that would bring Shabba Ranks and Supercats global success in 1991 and 1992 respectively. That album, I believe, was a bit too early for its time and failed to achieve any significant commercial success. It did, however, become very well received and influential with hip hop artists in the US, with names like KRS-One, Salt and Pepper, and Cypress Hill all big fans, and they would all sample Freddy's voice in their music. And he became a phenomenon on the London sound system scene and got especially rave reviews for his speedy delivery and toasting style. And in 1988, he was inspired to attempt to break the world record for the fastest rapper on the planet. And he would in one effort smash the existing record and entered into the Guinness Book of Records. He would break his own record 3 more times and held on to it for several years. In 1991, he signed for global record label Chrysalis Records and released the album Stress, a solid compilation that contained the banger and dance floor filler We Are the Champions featuring Asha D. That album became a moderate success, but his next work in 1992's Ragamuffin Soldier became a commercial smash hit that also earned incredible critical reviews. That album was produced by Supercat and Robert Livingston and contained my favorite Daddy Freddy track Respect Due that featured US rapper Heavy D and reggae singer Frankie Paul. Though based in the UK, Daddy Freddy was the darling of the US hip-hop community, and he would work with and also influence rappers like Queen Latifah, LL Cool J and Tretch of Naughty by Nature, and many of them would sample his music and take him on tour with them. In that period, Daddy Freddy toured and recorded non-stop, releasing numerous singles and 2 more albums over the next 3 years. And by 1995, he was totally burnt out and exhausted. He felt drained and out of inspiration and would move back to Jamaica to rediscover his roots in 1996. And he took a hiatus from music for 4 years before making his comeback in the year 2000 with the album Old School New School. And he would follow that up in 2004 with his last album, Hardcore. But by then, the industry had moved on, with new superstars like Sean Paul and Elephant Man firmly in control of the dancehall scene. But make no mistake, the great Daddy Freddy never went anywhere. He's released singles fairly consistently over the years and has been a regular feature on the touring circuit, putting in scorching performances in various reggae festivals all over the globe for both new and old fans. And today at 59, he's very proud of his achievements in his career, despite not achieving the commercial success of some of his peers like Shabba Ranks and Shaggy. He's definitely always in the conversation about the greatest dancehall artists of all time. If we're basing our ratings purely on talent and artistic creativity, his influence on the genre was immense, inspiring many future dancehall as well as hip-hop artists, and not to mention being the direct inspiration behind the UK-born subgenre of reggae known as jungle. Truly a one-of-a-kind artist, and more than deserving of his place in the pantheon of dancehall's all-time icons. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, God bless.